If you look at the coronation footage, as the king and queen leave the thrones and head for the exit.
A wedding ring placed on a table, not thrown, not dropped, placed carefully beside a document that had already been signed. That is the image at the center of a story, now circulating in royal circles. And if the accounts are even partly accurate, it explains something the official statements never will. Queen Camilla allegedly walked into a private meeting at Buckingham Palace, expecting a delay. She reportedly walked out, having lost the future she had spent 20 years building. Buckingham Palace has not confirmed any of it. Stay with me, because the reason she reacted that way did not begin in that room. It began 6 weeks earlier, behind a door at Windsor. Subscribe before we get there. Windsor, a routine afternoon. Catherine allegedly arrived expecting access to a coronation rehearsal file, the kind of ordinary paperwork the next generation is normally handed years in advance. According to these accounts, Camilla refused. She closed the red dispatch box, the locked case that carries official papers, and said no future court would operate inside the present reign. Catherine did not raise her voice. She asked one question: had the order come from Charles? And the reply attributed to the Queen is the sentence royal watchers keep circling back to. It comes from the Queen, sitting in front of you. Then the door closed. 15 minutes, start to finish. Nobody in that room appeared to understand they had just started a chain reaction. Lubinov allegedly heard about it that evening. He went to his father without aids, without a prepared case, and without asking for Camilla's removal. He asked for one thing: that his wife stop being treated as a guest, waiting outside locked doors. Charles is said to have listened without interrupting. Then he asked to see the withheld file, and what he reportedly found was worse than a family argument. Several transition papers had been sitting undelivered under his wife's authority. Not one, several. The reading being offered is not ambition, it is fear. Fear that the moment Catherine had full access, the court would quietly begin treating the present reign as a waiting room. But motive stopped mattering. Something had jammed inside the machinery of the crown, and the king had just seen it. That night, according to these accounts, Charles opened a blank page and started writing in secret. Before he wrote a word, he allegedly unfolded an old handwritten promise he had once given his wife, that they would finish the reign together, and set it underneath. Then he kept writing anyway. 6 weeks later, Camilla walked into that meeting expecting another polite postponement. What waited for her was a black fountain pen, a royal seal, and a coronation decree already carrying the king's signature. A formal order setting out how the next transition would be prepared, naming William and Catherine at the center of it. Not an abdication, something quieter and heavier. A document deciding who owns the future, while the present king is still on the throne. 2 advisors reportedly stood by the closed doors. No aides were called, and Charles is said to have spoken 7 words to his eldest son. From this moment, the future waits no longer. Now, why sign anything at all? That is the question the palace will not touch. But the logic being suggested is uncomfortable and simple. The king's health has visibly reshaped his diary. Long ceremonial days cost him more than they used to. And a monarchy caught without a prepared successor is a monarchy that stalls at the exact moment the country expects steadiness. Charles waited most of his life for the throne. Handing away even part of it would feel like giving back years he had barely started spending. He reportedly chose to absorb the damage privately rather than let the country watch it happen live. And the damage had a name, because Camilla allegedly reached the second page only after the ink was dry. The wording is said to have stated that her constitutional duties would conclude once the transfer began. She keeps the title, she keeps her current engagements. She would no longer approve future appointments, ceremonial plans, or household instructions. Queen of a reign already being packed into boxes. She reportedly asked whether everyone else in that room had known before she arrived. Nobody answered. And according to those accounts, the silence landed harder than a denial would have. She did not wait to be summoned afterwards. She crossed the private corridor herself and walked into the king's sitting room unannounced. Charles was by the fireplace. Catherine stood beside a table of sealed papers. and the accusation attributed to the Queen was delivered quietly, which is exactly what made it land. "You asked your father to remove me. No junior staff, no witnesses, no protocol left to hide behind." William reportedly denied it and repeated his position without moving an inch. Camilla then turned to Catherine and told her she would inherit the sympathy, the authority, and the ceremonial future she herself had spent decades fighting to reach. Catherine's reported answer is the line that has traveled furthest out of that room. No crown is protected by shutting out the next generation. Preparation is not replacement. Charles allegedly ended it by striking the arm of his chair. He declared the decree his decision, in his words, signed by his hand. Then he revealed the clause she had not yet reached, and that is when the ring came off. She placed it beside the document and asked whether he still saw a wife or simply another constitutional problem. He reached toward her. She stepped back. One small movement, and everything unspoken in that room became obvious. Charles still held the crown. The power inside his own family had already moved. Here is the part that turns this from a marital row into something colder. The decree carries one signature. Its architecture allegedly carries the fingerprints of a group. For weeks beforehand, a small circle of advisors had reportedly been measuring risk and calculating how long the institution could function with two competing royal centres. Senior officials were increasingly going to William for long-term direction, while still needing Camilla's approval for present-day ceremonial decisions. Instructions collided. Meetings were rebooked twice. Papers drifted between two households with no final voice to settle anything. That was the real problem, not the tears, the confusion, and the advice reportedly given to the king was blunt. Delay protects appearances. It also guarantees a worse mess later. Catherine was allegedly placed at the heart of the document for one specific reason: to steady the transfer and stop the whole thing from looking like a son reaching across the table for his father's power. And there was reportedly one more element, a sealed appendix, unpublished, containing a date. By the following morning, the decree had stopped being a private wound. Meetings once chaired by Camilla were quietly redirected. Folders carrying her cipher, the personal symbol showing whose household owns a document, were recalled. A coronation planning session moved to William's office before breakfast. Nothing had been announced. Every altered diary entry said the same thing anyway. Camilla allegedly walked into her office and stopped. 3 red folders were gone from her desk. Her private secretary explained they had been recalled under the king's signed authority. She dismissed him, locked the door, and reportedly said one sentence to an empty room. "He could have spared me from learning this in front of servants." William, according to the same accounts, received the first transferred briefing and refused to break the seal until Catherine was standing beside him, because opening it alone would make every accusation against him look true. Catherine read the cover page twice, then immediately ordered that not one of the Queen's current engagements be cancelled or reduced. Real authority had arrived. It reportedly tasted like betrayal. Then came the detail that could have ended the family permanently. The sealed appendix was opened. Inside, allegedly, a schedule. William and Catherine's first joint coronation rehearsal at Westminster Abbey. Within 72 hours, Camilla's name was not on it. And this is where somebody broke the script. The night before that rehearsal, William reportedly walked alone to her private rooms and dismissed the security officer outside. No decree, no advisors, no statement prepared in advance. When she opened the door, he is said to have told her he would not walk into that abbey while she believed he had stolen her place. She let him in. She left him standing. What she reportedly admitted next had nothing to do with files or ceremonies. Her fear was becoming a chapter the family would politely close. That decades beside Charles would be compressed into one awkward transition and one photograph of a queen crying after the power moved past her. William's reported answer is the reason this story keeps getting retold. He told her the king's reign could never be honestly recorded without the years she stood beside him. That erasing Camilla would mean erasing part of Charles himself. Then he put a revised rehearsal order on the table, amended under his new authority, giving her a place inside the ceremonial handover instead of a seat outside it. She asked whether Catherine had approved it. He said Catherine had been the first person to say the transition must not require cruelty. She signed, not surrender, in this telling. Acceptance that helping the future arrive might be her last real service to the present king. Inside Westminster Abbey, the formation allegedly told the entire story without a word. Charles entered first, Camilla beside him. William and Catherine followed several steps behind, refusing to walk ahead as the original plan required. Charles is said to have turned to his son and spoken plainly. "This authority is being prepared for you. It is not being taken from me." And Camilla reportedly lifted the same briefing folder she had once refused to hand over at Windsor and placed it into Catherine's hands. Charles allegedly returned the wedding ring. She took it and admitted that fear had turned preparation into resistance, that she could not defend the monarchy while treating its own future as an enemy. Nobody won. No marriage ended. Camilla's tears, if these accounts are accurate, marked the death of one specific expectation, that she could stand at the center of both the present reign and the next one at the same time. Standing beside Catherine turned that loss into something else entirely. Her final act of influence was not holding the future back, it was walking the family into it. None of this has been confirmed by Buckingham Palace, and it should be treated as commentary rather than established fact. But if any part of it is true, it tells you what the crown actually demands from the people inside it. Not that they lose gracefully, that they lose usefully. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.